Well, this is the first time I'm recording the intro after the video has already been recorded, but what you're about to see is the attempted building of Wigan Athletic as we prepare for life back in the Premier League and for the first time in this series, including a very surprising purchase towards the end of the summer. If you're excited to find out what this is exactly, make sure to hit the like button down below and click subscribe for more Football Manager content, and always remember to turn those notifications on so you're alerted to new Unemployed to Legend videos such as this one. Now let's throw it back to the earlier version of me. Roll the intro. Hello and welcome to episode 21 of Unemployed to Legend with Wigan Athletic. My name is Craig, and coming up on today's episode, if the intro hasn't given you a clue already, season's over and we've been promoted to the Premier League. Little Wigan Athletic are back in the big time, and it's a completely unexpected promotion, granted, but we now make the best of it. So today will be the transfer window for Wigan Athletic to get ready for life in the Premier League. But before we get to that, we have the season review and a look back over what has been a very unexpectedly overachieving season. Let's get to it. So we start with the new signings that came in, and according to average rating, Rhys Williams was our best player, which is quite the surprise. Is Ricky J. Jones not on here at all? Or does he count as last? Oh no, there he is, right. Literally dead on 7 average rating, despite the fact he scored 27 goals for us this season and 4 assists. I would say he is the signing of the summer. Without his goals, we're not going up. Simple as that. Rhys Williams, on the other hand, he didn't even get into the squad until probably halfway through the season. He was very unhappy, alienated even, according to his happiness. But he since came into the squad alongside Tiedan Mengi, and he's proven he's a very, very good defender. I'm going to see if I can try and bring him back, possibly permanently, depending on our transfer budget. Oh, no, never mind, I've already seen it. You will find that out after the season review is done. Reece Devine, he's actually a surprise package. He came in January from Manchester United. He deputised for Reece James when he had some suspensions, and to say the least, he performed okay. He didn't play many games, obviously, Reece James being my starting left back, but he did well enough. Josh Scowen, I would consider him to be a very solid purchase as well. I brought him in for a free, and he did the job competently. He is my utility man in central midfield. He can play anywhere in that midfield three. Alex Lopez, a bit disappointing, but it's his first year in English football, so he could get better. Le Chabala was in form towards the end of the season. That's where he truly started to show what he was all about. 44 appearances throughout the season. That's a lot more than I thought he would have. Josh Bowler, who came in from Everton, very good signing on the right hand side of the attack, but now he's switched over to the left. He's certainly a good little player to have. Clarkson barely played. Angelini, a future signing. Confirmation then, finished third in the league, promoted via the playoffs, and we were only expected to avoid relegation. That's the ultimate overachievement. Not quite maxing out the home attendance on 21,000, but we're getting very close. I don't think we're going to need a new stadium anytime soon. You can also kind of see where the form was right in the middle of the season, as well as towards the end is what got us into the playoffs. FA Cup got as far as the quarterfinals before being smacked around by Tottenham. No surprise there really. Rhys Williams, the top scorer in the FA Cup for us. In the Championship, of course, Ricky J. Jones, naturally. Our top scorer, 25 goals. And yeah, less said about the Carabao Cup, the better. We got knocked out by Bradford in round 1. 5-0 win over Reading, which got us back to form, or got us back to scoring goals, a hatful of them, against a divisional rival. That's very pleasing at the same time. Bristol City, that was all the way back in September. I believe that actually got us onto our good form going into mid-season, so that started propelling us up the league table, and we again can't see the goal of the season. I think, did we show the Blackburn game? I think we did, so it would be on the previous video. Whose goal was this? Josh Bowler after 7 minutes. I think I remember which one that is, dribbling in from the right hand side as he tends to do and shooting from the edge of the area. He liked to do that a lot, did Josh Bowler. He's a very good player to shoot from outside the area, as is Le Chabela. Right, finances wise, all our finances are up naturally from the championship. Sponsorship is up about 4 times over. Broadcast revenue 2.87 million, considering it was 468,000 in League One. That's a really good amount of money to be bringing in. Corporate hospitality is up. Competition prize money 800,000. That's because of the FA Cup run. This is what a cup run does. Even if you're only in the Championship or League One, you still get a ton of money from a good cup run. Imagine that for a non-league side. Woohoo! That would be brilliant. And matchday revenue £1.14 million, significantly up from League One. That's what happens when your team does well. Over 7,000 shirts sold. That's amazing. Le Chabela, that's quite surprising. He's the top shirt seller. Then it's Jones, Lang, who's blew hot and cold throughout the season, but it's clear he's popular with the fans. Bowler, and of course the main man between the sticks, Jordan Archer. Hopefully he'll come back just as strong next season. Our starting 11, we're going to go through it. Jordan Archer in goal, agreed. Reece James, Matty Pearson, Teden Mengi, Naginda in defence. Pearson did play most of the season, but towards the end, Reece Williams certainly was a contender for that central defence spot. I'm really surprised Darnell Johnson isn't in here. I suppose Naginda performed better over less games, but Johnson was certainly the MVP as far as our right back position goes. I'd argue the same with Naginda as well. They're both just as good as each other, if I'm honest with you, at championship level anyway. I think Johnson will be more the Premier League player compared to Naginda, which is unfortunate, but we'll see how he does. Josh Scowen at the base of the midfield, McEachran and Hughes ahead of him. That's fair enough. I have no arguments to that. Hughes blew hot and cold throughout the season, but I think he was way better than Lopez and Hammer anyway. Lang on the left-hand side of attack, Josh Bowler on the right wing. They swapped over with each other halfway through the season, but otherwise I agree with that. Ricky J. Jones as the sole striker up front. These three, Bowler and Jones should have better ratings than that. Lang, the ultimate hot and cold player, he just kind of came into form. He was out of form, sorry. That was ever since Nottingham Forest tried to take him away from us. The club awards, Reece James, fans player of the season. I wonder if they liked his long throws. That would probably make sense. It's just a very English thing, isn't it, to like long throws in corners and tackles, let's be honest. Young player of the season, Reece Williams. No complaints about that, unless you want to put Ricky J. Jones or Teden Mengi in there. Actually, Mengi, he performed well, but I think Williams did perform better than him, so we may have a new centre-back star, especially if we get Williams back for next season. Reece Devine is the signing of the season. If Ricky J. Jones was signed in the actual summer and not the end of last season, then yes. Josh Bowler of the goal of the season, as we've already had a look. Top goal scorer Ricky J. Jones on 25, and 9 player of the match awards with Josh McEachran with the most assists. Only on 10. That's really low. 10 was the most. I guess we were spreading it out among a lot of the players. I know Reece James got a lot of assists. And the highest average rating, of course, Reece James as well. Competition awards, EFL Young Player of the Year, Teden Mengi. So yeah, he performs very well. And as for record breakers, Jones with most goals by a player in a match and a league match. So that's 2. That really no one got a hat-trick. Quite surprised. Jordan Archer, 24 clean sheets in the whole season. That's ridiculous. And that's clearly one of the main reasons we actually got promoted. 9 player of the match awards for Jones, as we've already seen. Reece James, 18 yellow cards, yeah, because he picked up so much suspensions towards the end of the season. He had like 3 games out because of suspension towards the end of the season. Le Chabela with the fastest goal, 1 minute 36 seconds. Wigan flew out the traps and set themselves up for the most magical of promotions. Oh, it was a magical promotion. Can't believe we actually did that. I kept saying throughout the whole season, if we go up, we're not ready. If we go up, we're not ready. The team's stronger than us. And, oh well, we went up. We get a crack at the big time now. It's going to be a mission and a half to keep them up in the Premier League. Right, the club vision for next season. Play entertaining football. I don't know. I don't know if that's realistic. Fight bravely against relegation. Yeah, that's like the most realistic of the expectations. There's no way we can expect anything higher than mid-table. I'm still going to try and aim for mid-table, but really and truly, it's about getting to 40 points as quickly as possible. So fight bravely against relegation. In other words, I loosely translated to I won't get sacked if we go down. That's fine. If that means we can build for the next couple of years, then I'm all for it. Darnell Johnson as our team leader. I'm looking for the likes of Mengi. He's coming back next season on loan. I've already announced that in the last episode, or 2 episodes ago. I'm looking for the likes of Mengi, McEachran, Reece James to start stepping up. Archer hopefully will start stepping up as well. Now let's just discuss the plans with the squad for next season. Basically, we're good enough to not be involved in a relegation battle. No, we will be in a relegation battle. Yeah, strengthening the squad. Yeah, that's got to be the goal. Yep, that's it. Off for pre-season, boys. Go and have a wonderful rest. I'm already looking at a couple of players who will more than likely leave the team come the end of the season. That's the problem with the playoffs. You literally start your summer very, very late. So we've got a big disadvantage to everybody else. Right, squad depth. Before I go away and start some transfers, we'll start from the back first. Yeah, Jordan Archer is our only good goalkeeper. Jamie Jones I'm going to see if I can try and get rid of this season. Angelini will just come in to replace him. If we do find another backup goalkeeper who will be better, try and bring him in. I would like to have a good option behind Archer, unless Angelini, I suppose he could be good. He's 19 years old. He's also Scottish, actually. That will help. Archer, who's now a full international as well. Yeah, he's just way better. Certainly physical-wise. But Angelini could still improve. Left back, we're going to need some strengthening there. Devine obviously just come in, but James, Devine, Pearson's a centre-back. Really and truly, they're championship quality. A lot of this squad is championship quality now. I mean, just looking at it, Mengi, Williams are potential Premier League players. Darnell Johnson, I think, could make that step up. Naginda, not so sure. Amika Obi, I mean, I know he's improving. But is he going to make that step up to the Premier League? I don't think so. The central midfield-wise, McEachran, Scowen, Lopez is going back to Leeds after his loan spell. Le Chabler and Hughes. I'm going to need to strengthen that midfield. Everywhere's going to need to be strengthened. Lang, Jones, Bowler will get a crack at the Premier League. Balogun's going back to Arsenal. Schmidt's going to go back to Barnsley. They did not perform well this season at all. There is a lot of major strengthening that needs to be done with this squad if we're going to even be competitive in the Premier League next season. I'm going to come back then around about the 9th or 10th of June. That will be when the transfer window actually opens. We'll see if any transfer activity has happened, be it players coming in or going out. After that, it's about getting through to the 1st of July and free transfers. Let's get to work. Before I kick on with the transfers, I just realised I forgot to show you how much we actually got in terms of transfer and wage budget. Well, ladies and gentlemen, £40 million to spend. Lovely. Actually, it was originally 34 million. I just made some budget adjustments just to give us a little bit more because we had a lot of wage budget spare, and I felt really we're not going to be able to spend, or rather we don't need to spend 175,000 on wages. So £40 million in transfer budget and 137,000 in wage budget. I think that's more than adequate to be bringing players in, certainly players who are going to want to come to Wigan Athletic. Let's go shopping. Well, it's a new day, which is quite fitting because we now have 2 new signings to welcome to the club. Say hello, ladies and gentlemen, to Daniel Bachmann and Nicolo Armini. Bachmann, a 27-year-old Austrian goalkeeper, signed for £3.2 million from Sporting KC in the USA. We did try to get him 12 months previously, but he just wasn't having it. He wasn't happy with the fact that we weren't a Premier League club. Well, now we're a Premier League, he's now interested in coming. So he's arrived on a nominal how much wage? £15,000, which is quite cheap when you consider the wages we're going to be paying from now on in the Premier League. And overall, he's an all-rounder in terms of goalkeeping. He'll certainly challenge Jordan Archer for that starting spot. As far as goalkeepers go, we're pretty much done. Jamie Jones, I'm looking to offer out. No one's actually come in except Crawley Town, and he rejected the contract from them. Vincent Angelini, our young goalkeeper, he will more than likely go out on loan. I've already been offering him out. We've had no offers yet, so we shall see how that goes. But Daniel Backman, welcome to Wigan. Now, Nicolo Armini, 21-year-old centre-back, signed for a record transfer fee from Burnley, who, incidentally, I completely forgot, are our local rivals, not just divisional now, which is why it says on the main page, we'll have to hit the ground running to earn support of the fans after playing for rivals Burnley. I think he will. He's only 21 years old. He's already an all-rounder in terms of attributes. He can easily play at centre-back. Where? Oh, right. It wasn't pointed on there. He can play at centre-back, and as you can see, he can also play left-back and right-back, which is really, really handy. He's effectively Darnell Johnson, just with left-back added in. 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Currently at Championship level, but he has the potential to be a Premier League player. I didn't show Batman's report actually. He is currently a Premier League level player, so we do have two players who I believe will be able to compete at this level, either from the get-go, or certainly later into the season. We'll just sort out their numbers. As far as other signings go, central midfield is going to have to be a urgent port of call now. We're done with goalkeeper. Central defence will still need to be sorted, especially as Reece Williams is going back to Liverpool. But other than that, central midfield is going to be looking a little light, considering I left the contract renewals of Emir Hughes and Josh Scowen to my director of football, and they just flat out rejected the contracts. So they're now leaving at the end of this month, which is not ideal. I'm going to see if I can try and offer them contracts, but I doubt it. And also with Lopez going back to Leeds United, who also promoted to the Premier League, it's going to be really difficult to get a midfield in time, because at the moment we only have Hammer and McEachran, who signed a 1-year contract extension. Emeka Obi is also gone, only for £10,500. He's really not worth that much, which is kind of the mantra of this squad, if you will. They're not really worth that much at the moment. The £18 million spent by Wigan on transfer fees is a new record. Crikey, that we are entering new territory for this club. So, as far as the squad depth goes, I've already filtered it to 3 stars. So this is our squad so far, 3 stars plus. The wings look decent, except for Balogun, who is more than likely going to go back. He can be a Premier League player in the future, but he did it for us in League One. He just didn't get... Well, he got chances in the Championship, actually. He played 35 times, but only 4 goals and 2 assists. That's really poor, but Ricky J. Jones just dominated that position. I'm in 2 minds whether to bring him back, to be honest, unless we can find someone better. But as far as up front goes, I'm looking for a new striker. If any wingers come up, I will bring them in, but otherwise, okay for the moment. Especially with Lang, Bowler and Le Chabla, who can cover those positions. Central midfield is going to be a urgent job, considering Hughes is not even on this list. It's probably a good thing he's going. Scowen is, though. I really want to keep him. He's a very good, useful utility man. He's the equivalent of our James Milner, effectively. He is our James Milner. Armini comes in already as our strongest left back, so James and Devine are going to have their work cut out for them. He's going to be our second best central defender, although it'll be Armini and Mengi playing in the centre anyway, with Johnson on the right hand side, so I'm not too worried yet. Nagindo is not even on that list, he might have to move on. And goalkeeper, 2 solid goalkeepers going into the Premier League. Right, the aim now is to get through to the 1st of July, free transfer day. And that's what I'm going to be looking forward to in order to strengthen this squad. We're going to need a lot of free players coming in. And if that is the case, we should have a lot more wage budget, because we still have £27.7 million in transfer budget. If we bring in a load of free players, that wage budget going up will be very, very handy. I only come back before the 1st of July if any other transfers come in, but until then, let's crack on to July. I know I said I was going to bring this back on the 1st of July, but there were a few deals that I was hoping to get over the line. before I actually came back, but unfortunately a lot of them actually fell through. Nevertheless, we did manage to bring in a few new players, as you can see, starting with Jacob Davenport, how much was he? £74,000 signing from Championship Blackburn Rovers. Now I know we're buying from the Championship here, but this is a player who personally I kind of view as a bit of a utility player, and who was originally going to be a replacement for Josh Scowen, who hadn't signed a new contract. Spoiler, he has now signed a new contract. Josh Scowen is now staying with us, so we got him and Davenport as sort of utility players, but players who are more than capable of slotting into the midfield three. But Davenport can play basically as a ball-winning midfielder, deep line playmaker, or defensive midfielder. It doesn't matter where. 3-star current ability, 4-star potential. For a 23-year-old, he could actually still get there. And his attributes kind of back that up as well. His mentals are really good. Technically wise, not that great, but he's someone who he's kind of going to be a work rate player, as you can see, 16. He's also a perfectionist, which for me, and I believe in the FM community, is one of the best personality traits to have. As mentioned, he's kind of spent his career in the Championship after leaving the Man City Academy, so as far as I'm concerned, he could be a little gem that we found. Speaking of gems though, a couple of signings for the future you may see here. Damian Canedo, a 19-year-old Spanish centre-back, bought in for £500,000 from the Barcelona B team. He's basically come from La Masia, or La Masia, I don't know how you actually pronounce it, but effectively Barcelona's academy, which is one of the most reputable academies in the world. Safe to say his technicals are pretty decent, probably one of the best in the squad. His physicals are very, very good, and his mental attributes, they're only going to improve over time. Let's be honest. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential. He only been, as mentioned, well not mentioned, as shown, he's only played for the Barcelona B team. He's still pretty fresh out of the academy effectively. He's at Championship level already, possible Premier League player in the future. He already comes in now actually as our 6th best centre back, but considering we've got the likes of Johnson, Armini, Mengi, Reece Williams, who has had his loan extended for this season, so he is another player who's come back in. He's in good company, to be honest with you. He will provide good competition this season. Omar Al Hilali, nearly got that wrong. A right back, £3 million from Espanyol. He's 18 years old. Oh, I thought he had driven or resolute personality. No, that must be someone else. My bad. But he's 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential, so he'll provide competition for Darnell Johnson on that right-hand side. He comes in instantly better than Naginda as well, which means he's going to instantly slot in as our backup right back, which is perfect. Hopefully that means he'll get some game time. Him and Canedo are currently both on international duty at the moment, so they'll probably both miss the start of the season anyway. Just like Canedo, he's at Championship level already, possible Premier League player in the future, considering he's 18 years old. Nothing to sniff at. Just moving on to after the 1st of July, like I said, there was a few deals that I wanted to get over the line. A lot of them have failed, some of them are still ongoing, as I'll show you in a moment. But the two that did get over the line, Luke Mahadi, just one who, not only for the future, but someone who we could possibly make profit on in the future. We bought him in £250,000, just loading straight back to Wraith, who we bought him from in the Scottish leagues. Yeah, he's a possible Premier League player in the future. If he does make it, fair enough. If he doesn't, we'll sell him on. Whatever. We can make profit off of him just by being in the Premier League, to be honest. Joe Williams is the one that I really wanted to get to because he cost £6 million from Bristol City. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential, even though he's 25 years old. He spent his whole career in the Championship, including with Wigan the season before I arrived. So I didn't actually know he'd already gone. He'd clearly gone during the time the club was in administration. But he used to be of Everton, which says to me he has a point to prove in the Premier League. He could be a leading Sky Bet Championship player in the future. Now, if you say leading whatever league. So for example, leading championship player, that could translate into the league above, as I've noticed with players who are leading League 1 players, it translated into championship players. So my hope is he'll become a decent, at least decent, Premier League player for us. But interestingly, as you can see, he comes in as our best midfielder. And he's been hiding out at Bristol City this whole time. I mean, his attributes support this, to be honest. He's got good physicals, his mentals are pretty good. His technical, not the greatest, but certainly you could say that about probably most of our squad anyway. Box-to-box midfielder, ball-winning midfielder, deep-line playmaker. At a push, he could be a defensive midfielder, at a push, but otherwise he can cover multiple roles in midfield, which is exactly what I want. His value is actually higher. We managed to get him slightly cheaper than what Bristol City wanted. They wanted 8.25 million, I believe it was. We managed to squeeze him down to about 6. So certainly, somehow, we saved money on him, despite the fact it's a relatively high fee. Just in case you do notice, we are 17 million in debt, but the projections speak otherwise. The Premier League money is going to come rolling in, and if we do stay in the Premier League, we will be hitting a nice, healthy amount of money in the bank, and that's all you ever really want. Samid Honor, a future signing, this one more than anything, a left winger and a forward from Bayer Leverkusen. He's just literally been breaking into the Bayer Leverkusen team. Again, being scouted, but by the looks of it, he looks like someone who could be a Premier League player in the future. Again, if not, this is someone we could make profit on. That's what you got to remember. We are Wigan Athletic at the end of the days. At the end of the days? At the end of the day. We have to bring in players who are relatively unknown. If they work out, fantastic. If they don't work out, send them on for a profit while we're in the Premier League. Why not? That's the way to do it at the end of the day. As far as strikers go though, this is the person I want to bring in. Nikola Iliev. A 18-year-old Bulgarian, hopefully on loan from Inter Milan if it goes through. Another player who's currently at championship level but could be Premier League player in the future. If he does come in, he'll come in better than Lang and Ricky J. Jones. Now, there's a reason there's only those two in the striker list. I'll just quickly show you the attributes. For Iliev, before I do that, if you wish to take a further look, just pause the video and just have a look. He's not fully scouted again, but again, comparisons have been done with Ricky J. Jones. Apart from physicals, he's about as good mentally and technically. Physical wise, I can't really compare anyone to Ricky J. Jones. That's just not fair. He's very, very quick. He's very, very, not strong, but very quick, and a lot of stamina on him. But as you can see from the team report, we've only got 2 strikers up front, and one of them is a winger. So that just leaves us with Ricky J. Jones, which is why I'm keen to get Honor and Iliev in at the same time. That way, just fills a bit of a gap in the squad and gives Jones a bit of competition, because if Jones doesn't score in the Premier League, we are screwed. We are screwed. As you can see from the team report, I've been working it from the bottom up. Goalkeepers, I'm happy with. Defenders, minus left back, I'm happy with. Armini will more than likely play in centre back, but he can play left back as a push. Midfield, I'm a lot more happier with. I was very scared about that literally 2 or 3 weeks in game ago. Wings, if we can improve that, fair enough. If not, we're going to have to go with what we have. Up front, I'm terrified. I am really terrified. Jones is a Premier League player of the future, but that's the problem. He's still going to be unproven at this level. And I really hope he does just hit the ground running just like he did in the Championship, because otherwise we are going to have some serious problems. Serious problems. My hope is that by the time we get to the first game of the season, which is at the end of July, we will have at least 1 or 2 new strikers. The problem is, it's just getting these players to want to come to the club. They don't see Wigan as good enough, a high enough standing in world football. We're going to have to change some opinions if we're going to get them here. The strikers have been signed, although one of them is actually different to the one that I showed you. The player I did show you before, Samid Honor, has arrived. His work permit finally came through from, where did he come from? Bayer Leverkusen, that was it. It's been like an hour. It's taken that long to get like half a month through to the beginning of the season now. Samid Honor has arrived, 20-year-old German, 3-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's arrived from Bayer Leverkusen for £1.5 million. That's how long the work permit took to come through. It always gets delayed, comes through like a week later, and is usually accepted or rejected. Heartbreakingly, it was actually rejected for Iliev, which is why we've had to go for another striker, who we will get to in a moment. Honor, as mentioned before, he's currently at a League One level, but a potential Premier League player in the future. He comes in as our fourth best winger. He can play on the left wing. He can also play up front in an emergency. He comes in as our fourth best striker. The best striker, however, happens to go to the new signing, Alexander Shobolev. 25-year-old Russian international. He's been capped by Russia 15 times with 5 goals. This transfer fell into my lap. It really did. The scout report just literally fell on my table. I took one look at this and I had to have him. I had to buy him. It was ridiculous how good he is, and he just ended up in the scout report somehow, and we bought him at a snip £9 million. Up front, with bonuses and instalments, it can go up to £11.75 million. Brought him in from Spartak Moscow. He has European experience, international experience. He is a Premier League player. On top of that, he's really good in the air. That's because he's 6'5". Unbelievably tall. We know exactly who we're going to be aiming the ball at when it comes to throw-ins and corners, and even free kicks. His jumping reach is high enough. His heading is good enough. His strength is amazing as well. 14. Really, really good. A fairly professional striker. I don't need to say anything else, do I? 4.5-star current ability and 4.5-star potential. He's easily the best player in the club. We got lucky, I think, with this. The scout report literally dropped about 15 days in-game ago, and I immediately just made that offer. I had to. There's nothing else to say. I'm absolutely speechless that we even got him. He's a Russian international. He's in the prime of his career, and he's come to the northwest of England with Wigan Athletic. So just going through the team reports, we'll go from the goalkeeper upwards. So filtered to 3 stars, we've got 2 goalkeepers of good quality, Archer and Bachmann. Ironically enough, they've both been injured at points in this pre-season, which is a little worrying, but Archer has only just come back from injury anyway, so hopefully he will recover very well. Defence, I'm quite happy with, except left back. I think that could do some more strengthening, but if we have to play Armenia out there, then fair enough. We've got players in the middle who could easily go and slot in nicely. Midfield, I'm a bit more happy with, especially since Joe Williams came in. Davenport might be a diamond find, I hope, and keeping Scone is a coup in itself. The wings could be stronger, but this was the last area on my mind, to be honest, because I was more concerned about up front. I still technically am concerned about up front, but if we just put it back down to 2 stars, you can see Josh Bowler and Samid Honor could just slot in hopefully just fine. It remains to be seen if they're still Premier League quality, and the same for Lang, Jones, and even Shobolev is unproven, but hopefully he'll hit the ground running once he learns some English. So overall, I am happier with the squads. It's certainly stronger than last season. If it's better than the bottom 5 or 6 sides, I'm more than happy, because the aim this season is just to get to that 40-point mark as quickly as possible. Just to remind you of the club vision, we're struggling with wage budget again. We're only out by about £15,000-20,000 a week. But overall, in the Premier League, the board is expecting us to fight bravely against relegation. Again, loosely translated, you won't get sacked if you go down. That's fine, because I don't know if we're going to survive, even with these transfers. Finances wise, like I said, we're over the wage budget. We're about 15k over, so I'm not too worried at the moment, as long as it doesn't go up by much more. It doesn't help my director of football still bringing in players for like £180 a week, so I'm just literally stopping those as early as I can. We have no transfer budget left. That's Shobolov, I need to remember his name. Yeah, Shobolov. That is his name. He took up the rest of the transfer budget. Effectively, all spent, That is going to be January transfers, regardless of what happens, unless we get loan players in. Right, we are at the start of the season, and our first game is away at Chelsea. Nice start, isn't it? And then a home game against Everton. Those two games will be the next episode, and we will see for the first time how this squad will compete in the Premier League. It's going to be a very, very interesting time. But again, it's just about getting to that 40-point mark as quickly as possible. If there's any points in the season that's still left, then we'll see what we can do from there. Chelsea, Everton, next episode. First Premier League games for Wigan in this series. Wigan are back in the big time. If you've enjoyed this transfer video, remember to hit the like button down below and click subscribe for more Football Manager content. Remember to turn on the notification bell to be alerted to all future episodes, including in this very series and especially for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.